Hi everybody, I'm Rob Anderson, and this video is really just a shortcut or an introduction to the post that I've got on my website about this specific issue, and that's fibromyalgia flare-up triggers. So these are the triggers that contribute towards flares or flare-ups if you've got fibromyalgia. Now, I need to start off by telling you I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert, I'm simply just a person with fibromyalgia. And because I found out that stress here, number one on my list, affects my health and my fibromyalgia in the flare department in a massive way, I literally changed my career. And all of that is on the link to my website if you want to know more about that. Okay, so based on that, I now have a website that relates to fibromyalgia and how you can reduce your stress, and this is clearly one of the subjects that's very, very near and dear to my heart. So I've simply put together an infographic that points out what my research showed up as what people were saying, other people, not me, were saying with the triggers that they found were causing their stress, the flares, what triggers were triggering their flares. Now, for me, other people too on this one, it was stress. This was stressful events, either physical events or psychological. So in my case, I got fibromyalgia from a home invasion, and there are certain triggers. A gun. If I see a gun, my stress levels go sky high, and the next day I'm out. So it was my trigger, physically a trigger of a pistol, which is quite amusing and not that amusing. And yet, the psychological side is that if a client contacts me, I've still got leftover clients from before I changed my career, they can also take me out for 3 days. So it's simply nothing bad. Just a hello, Rob, how are you? Can you please go in and make the red blue on my website? And it's incredible as to how I'm able to cope from there. So next one is sleep. I find that if I'm lacking in sleep, this is me again personally, I'm wrecked. It immediately makes my ability to cope with everything else reduced by the level of sleep that's gone or not gone from me. Okay, so let's go back up. I put exhaust, but this is to exhaust yourself, not a car exhaust. So if you've overdone things too much, you've shoveled too much snow, you've cut down too many weeds in your yard, you've dug up for your cornfields, doesn't matter what you've done, you've gone and done the dishes. And if your level of energy was left to a certain point and you use it up, you exhaust it, that'll be the trigger that'll take you into a flare. Now, this is a weird one, but it is a flare for me too, and a lot of people said it, and in the beginning I didn't quite get it, and I think it's different for some people, so apply this in your own head. And in fact, by the way, I encourage you to, please, in fact, I want you to come to my website and give me input. Email me, I'll interview you. I'd love to have interaction with you on all of these issues. When my website is very busy, I will build a forum and anybody can come in there and interact. It'll be so good for all of us. Okay, so inactivity for me, here's where it gets to me. When I am working on my website, this is my new website, right? When I'm working on it, I can sometimes be focused or immobile for 3-4 hours at a time, and when I stand up, oh my goodness, everything is seized up. So lying down in bed in the day, I don't do that. I do have there it is, my corner of my eye, my lazy boy. When I just can't, I do go and fall into that. But lying down flat in bed, I get more pain than if I'm up. So yeah, it depends on, I think, who you are on that one, right? Food. I'm diabetic. I was diabetic before I got fibromyalgia, and I really do struggle with food. Something just as an interesting point here, nothing to do with flares. I can't lose weight anymore either. I mean, I seriously cannot. I used to lose weight 10 times quicker than I can now. And if I lose weight now, I can diet until I lose muscle mass. And my huge belly refuses to move a millimeter. Charming. So that's that. But I know that if I have sugar, it causes me to be to struggle with my sleep and or other things. So yes, it's a trigger for me. I don't know about you. Number 5, medication. Changing your medication. Look, I don't have to tell you whether it's a trigger and obviously, but any change is bad. You can say if you like that or that one or not. Temperature doesn't affect me at all. A lot of people though commented on the research how temperature changes can cause them to flare. Now, there's a lot of people equally say that hot things help them feel better, but that's different. That's the things that help you. In other words, hot tubs and saunas and hot showers, yeah, sure. But this is about extreme, going out into the snow or on a hot or cold day, that temperature fluctuation. There was one lady whose research I read up on, and she had to move. I mean, from a state in the USA, somewhere she had to move totally to a different one, to a cooler one. The heat, the humidity was taking her out. And it wasn't imaginary, it was real, and she was far better off going from a hot one to like Florida to, Colorado, whatever it was. Right, hormones is not just for women. Sorry guys, no sexist comments. But it's basically your body's chemical, your body's chemical system is entirely a messenger system. Your metabolism, it all adds up to what's going on and causes triggers. So any change in that chemical compilation, even though often those changes are driven by things up here, change in medication, change in food, what you've eaten, how much sleep you've had, they all affect this, but it is a trigger. Right, schedule, I don't ever know which way to say that, is a huge one, and it's connected to anxiety and stress. So it's connected to the first one. Change is disruptive, and so people with routines get used to it, they feel safe. Come along and say, we got 2 minutes, let's go. And it throws people, and there was your trigger. That's it. All it takes is a sentence. And boops, 2 hours, 10 hours, whatever it is. Sorry to interrupt myself at this point. Everybody's flares are different. Everybody's triggers are different. It's not, that's the good or the bad thing about fibromyalgia, if there's ever such a thing as good thing, is since I started doing this page and infographic and video, not the video, but setting it all up, in between all of it, I did read another page. And people were talking about different things. I forget what it was. My point is that everybody's take is so different. It was describing how to describe how you get fibro, how it feels. And people were saying it's a bit like having extreme flu and being hit by a truck the day before and the next day, and you've got flu and the bruising from the truck. But a lot of people have skin issues. So what I'm trying to say is flare-ups are and pain levels are very, very different between everybody, and also the level of what's affecting you. And I know in myself that I can lose a week or two of productivity after stress. Take away the thing that's stressing me, and a week or so later, and I'm pretty much okay. What I call my norm. I was trying to explain it to my wife recently. My norm is where I've now accepted a certain level of pain as normal, and I can live with it. So then I use that as my new base level, setting the bar, whatever it is. Anyway, I also wanted to point out about the flares and this video and the article, is that sometimes a flare is just a small thing. Where did I talk about it? I think it's on the page. Sometimes a flare is just a thing that you do where you work a little bit too hard for an hour and you need a 2-hour sleep that afternoon, instant. I mean, instantly you've depleted your energy. It's a flare. You've got to go and lie down. Other times, a single item, it doesn't matter how big or small it is, kicks in and you have a week-long flare. So yeah, they are going to differ between things. Now, in my research, a lot of people were talking about how surgery affected them. It's a trigger for their flares. I wondered how many times people are going to go for surgery. You know, in fact, in the time I've had fibromyalgia, which by the way is only 14 months or so, 15 months, in that time, I've only ever had the only threat I've ever had of surgery, let's call it that, for my fear and anxiety towards surgery, was to have a tooth removed where I need to be under anesthetic. And they were worried about me because I was on high blood pressure medication. So it never happened. So I have no clue with, but people did say this was a huge trigger for them. So I'll put it in there. Change in the weather. Again, it's something that I kind of shouldn't shake my head and grin like, seriously. But it's real. If other things affect me, then these affect other people. It's not that they've imagined it. It's totally real. I get it. So if you are affected by the weather, I'm just grateful I'm not. And then accidents. But accidents, I believe, are caused, what they're doing is they're triggering stress and anxiety again. So in my honest opinion, everything to do with fibromyalgia, and you'll hear this throughout my entire mantra, but I think it's personally perhaps because it's what affects, I believe it's what change affects me the most. And that is avoid all stress and eat right. In other words, what's going into my body, I can't fix my core metabolism, my immunity system, if I'm not eating right and if I'm not stressing. So I'm not going to be able to fix my immunity if I'm still stressing. So in my case, I believe everything stems at stressing. Okay, so there we go. Look, I even put your click here to stress less. Now, I don't know whether you'll find this. This is a video, you can't click on it anyway. But I have this Fibromyalgia Income Club where I teach people how to make money from home. Part-time, full-time, doesn't matter. That is another tool to use to decrease your stress. If you don't have to stress about pain days to get up and go to work, or what's my boss going to think, or I can't even button my shirt straight today, that's extra added stress, and I'll try and help people remove that. There's a free trial if you're wondering about it, but it's all there. It's on fibromyalgiaclub.com. Go and have a look. And then the rest of this is in writing, and this video will be on my page anyway. That's it. Appreciate your trouble. Click the links down below. Please join up to my what's it called? Sorry, brain fog. It's called channel, my YouTube channel. Thank you. Because occasionally I'll have stuff that's not related to making money, for people with fibromyalgia. Things like this that might just be, if you're just interested in the fibromyalgia side, health benefits. Appreciate it. Cool. Take care. Cheers.